What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 404 Fear Not Found podcast, man. We're coming off a huge weekend. We finally just uploaded last week. Thank you all for all the support. We're grateful for all the love and all the support that you guys been showing.
Yeah,
Boys, how you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good, man. I feel like our first episode was amazing. Then we had Jaquay on, an awesome guest on the pod, and I think he just brought it home for us. So I'm just ready to show the crowd what more we have in state.
Yeah, dude, it's been awesome. It's been a welcome change, and I'm excited to keep it going.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never thought I'd be doing a podcast until I started doing a podcast.
Kind of surreal.
Yeah, we talked about it for 2 years, and now we're here. So I could only imagine if we started 2 years ago.
No, for real, bro. It's such a surreal feeling because like us three are really not, the most social media type of guys like at all. Like I feel like
I
us
can't
three
be when I want to be.
like but people would see like this group right now and be like, dude, like where did this come from?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And it's like it just came from having, the information that we have and just trying to get it to the people that want it and need it. It
Yeah.
really just came down to the point of we want people to gain stuff from this. We've already got some good feedback of people that reached out and was like, hey man, I needed to hear some of that stuff already. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm looking out for jobs now. I'm looking out to better myself. I'm looking to improve my life because not that what we're saying is anything brand new to a lot of people, but we are bringing back a different dimension of just keeping it real with you and just telling it how it is and just allowing us to provide the insights and the wisdom that we've accumulated together. But other than that, man, today it's just us three, of course. No special guests today. We're gonna get back on that hopefully next week. And today we're just gonna vibe, reflect on getting into some stuff and talking about some things that nobody really talks about. So
Yeah.
this show, where being lost means you're actually where you're supposed to be. So let's go. I'm excited to be back with you boys. Any exciting news this week that you guys want to share?
I graduate with my master's tomorrow, so that's pretty cool. Pretty hyped about that. Long fucking time coming, and then that's about it.
How drunk are you getting this weekend?
I'm getting pretty.
Are we getting 2021 bar crawl?
No. I'll never get 2021 bar crawl drunk again. That was a one and done. Hangover was enough to kill you. But
Wait.
I'm gonna get after it, dude. 5 years of school is a long time, and it's like finally seeing it all pay off. Like even though I already have a job, it's just nice to like be done with that chapter of my life and then have the degree to show it.
So
Absolutely.
is there getting a PhD in finance and accounting?
No, it's a master's in accounting, just accounting. So my undergrad, I majored in both accounting and finance, and then I just got a master's degree in accounting.
No,
So then
I
now I
know
got the
that.
150.
I'm saying, can you get a PhD? Like, what's the highest you can go up?
You can get a PhD in accounting. It would really do nothing for you though, because like even if you wanted to be a professor at like a college, you only need a master's degree in accounting to teach at a college. So it
Oh,
really, I
okay.
mean, some of the accounting professors had one, but like it wouldn't do anything for you other than like maybe help you get a teaching job. I don't know.
Professor Howard, can you see that, Chase? Hunter being a professor?
No.
No.
I, I was actually talking about it. I could see myself doing it if like I retire at like 65 and I'm bored as fuck and I have like
Yeah.
nothing to do. And it's like, oh, I can go and like teach a couple
Yeah.
classes like 3 days a week and make like what 60 grand just doing nothing because they don't do
Yeah.
anything. TA
It's
to
not
grade
that
your
bad
stuff.
if you're retired, for sure.
Yeah, if you're retired, it'd be kind of
Just
fun.
imagine him, he's smoking a cigar in the middle of the classroom. Like, all right, you fucks.
Riffing cigarettes in the parking lot
Right.
before class.
Elijah, what's some exciting news that you got this week for us, man?
So, long awaited email back from the sales department. He said I would love to get an interview, and so hopefully I'm gonna set up that time and date. Had our interview, and I'm not gonna say I hope. I am gonna get that job, and the sky's gonna be the limit from there. But
Let's
that
go.
that really made my day today. Other than that, I'm happy to be back in Charlotte. Get to see my mom, my dog B, and go to the Soul Circus.
Hey, hey, nice, nice. Where are you going?
The Soul Circus, so it's kind of like the circus, but for black people.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, pretty
cool,
lit.
cool. Probably some good food, some good music, good vibes going on.
Yeah, I just had some chicken gizzards today. Y'all probably don't even know what that is. Some fried okra,
Never heard of
a
her.
little hot
Oh, I
sauce
love
on
fried
there.
okra.
Yeah, y'all never heard
Yeah.
of chicken gizzards?
No, I've heard of it.
Oh yeah. I don't think I've ever had it though.
They're
I don't think
good.
I don't
They're
think I
good.
want to have it.
They're really good. You want to
But
see what it look like?
We'll insert the clip of a chicken gizzard. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. I got some exciting news that I'd like to share with the both of you and to everybody out there listening. So, as some of you know, I've been working for a guy named Brad Lee. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. To me, he's like a very good mentor for like a lot of the places that I'm looking to get in life. And not that, how we talked about before, you can't replicate what someone else has done, but you can take a lot of their good traits and their habits and their mindset, and you can, take it with a grain of salt and implement a lot of those strategies into your life. So, I've been doing a lot of training for him and his company. This Monday, I actually passed my last training, which was a role play with the live coach, and I'm live, baby. I'm out here in the field now, so it's time to make some money. It's time to change my life, bro. I'm so excited for this opportunity. I've been focused on it for the last 2 months. Been putting a lot of work towards it. It's like I damn near went back to school, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm so ready to hit the ground running because, like we always talk about, you guys know I'm a sales type of guy. I'm always going to probably be in sales if it's not owning my own business. That's just kind of the type of thing I like to do. I like to get out there. I don't have a problem with not having a guaranteed paycheck. I like to go chase it. I like to, it feels better. Damn, bro, like I ain't had a check in a couple weeks. Maybe you got those dry spells and it's like, all right, that next one's the best one. It's like, okay, I could go make something out of nothing. So yeah, just super excited to get rolling with his because it's a great opportunity to help a lot of people, help businesses, and that's the most important thing. Especially when you're in sales, it's like you could be selling anything, but do you see value in what you are selling as the salesman? Do you actually truly believe that your product or service can help the person that you're talking to on the other end? And with this service, it's like, yes, I truly believe in it. I know what it can do. I've seen it with my own eyes, and like for and it just makes that whole interaction with closing the deals that much easier because I truly believe in it.
Yeah.
It happened in perfect timing because it's only once a week you get a chance to do it, and I got some stuff going on next week when they have it going on. I'm going on that cruise, so I had to get it done this week, or it was going to take like a few more weeks. So I had to bang it out, get it done. Yeah, man, I'm excited. So we got big news all around. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's making business moves. Yeah, and the best is still yet to come. It
I
gets
told
worse
them
before
about
it
that
gets
my
better.
AP. Perfect timing. I did this about my I stay shining. Shout out
Yep.
Shador. Yeah.
Shout out to Shador.
That shirt's
Shit.
fire, Chase.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. When'd you get that?
Um, I got it like a month ago, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So I think, without further ado, it's probably a good time to get into the first segment. So
Let's get into
today,
it.
a good first segment that we wanted to focus on, because, we've given advice for the past few episodes. We've given our outlooks and our perspectives, but, we talk about it. We're going through it every day. Every day
Yeah.
is a new adventure. Every day is a new journey. Every day is another day you got to pay rent. Rent's due every day. Maybe not for the apartment, but for life. So one thing that I want to talk about with you fellas and to the audience today is how nobody told us what adulting would really feel like and how it feels now that we're really out here all making these moves. We're away from home. It's one of those things we've talked about, that stage of getting past, the student era or just the young buck era. And now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we ain't getting no younger. So let's talk about it, man. What's the most unexpected thing that you guys think you've learned, maybe even recently, about growing up and truly getting out there?
Texas. I ain't know Texas could come back and bite you. Like this year is only my second year filing taxes. So, last year I only owed like $100 something. This year I was in the grand, so I'm like, whoa, that was a huge difference. But just really being prepared for like unexpected, like finances that come apart, like your car being broken down. Like I don't have like best friends or something that it's down the street. They're more like 2 hours away or in Florida. But just stuff like that. Just unexpected financial things that come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they always say like whenever you're comfortable, that's when something bad happens?
Yeah.
Never expected. I'd say the thing that I've most recently learned is just like the lack of time you have. I think like working full time and like being an adult. and just how to like manage that, like you kind of lose that like leisure time or that like time to hang out with your friends because it's like, oh, you got to do this. And then if you want to go to the gym or then you got to like make food and then you're like, oh, I want to, do this other thing at night or try to further myself. So if you're like on top of your stuff, it seems like you end up losing your days really quick. Weeks just fly by.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would differ, but say the same. And I only say differ because I have realized how much more free time I have had outside of graduating. Like since you're still in like with work and then school as well, you really haven't experienced that get off of work and everything because for as an adult, going to the gym is your free time. Cooking
Yeah.
when you could
Yeah.
just go get a quick bite at Wendy's or something is free time. So your free time instead of just sitting around and smoking or drinking
You
turns
do other
into
things with it.
hobbies or studying or whatever you want to do becomes your leisure slash free time.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean though. It's like you lose that,
Yeah.
like if you're trying to be a successful adult, you lose that leisure time. Or like in college, it's like, fuck it, I'll get drunk at 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon. Like that doesn't happen anymore. And that's okay, that's just growing up. But that's the thing I
Having a
think.
beer at 3 p.m. is okay, but getting hammered at 3 p.m. is unless it's happy hour.
Dude, if I have one, I'm having six. That's how it goes.
Dude, you got to drink a 6-pack just to see if you feel like drinking, dude.
Pretty much. And at that point I might as well rip a 12er.
Right.
My gosh, did you drink the Bush apples yet?
Dude, everywhere I've gone to look for them has been sold out, and I'm getting so irritated because it's like one of my favorite beers. I even called Acme, and they're like, "Yeah, we have Bush Apple." I was like, "Great, it's a 10-minute drive. I'll be there in 10 minutes." Get there, the guy's like, "Oh, I swore we had it. It's no longer here. It must have sold out." I was like, "Great, you
So
could
he
have
probably
told me
didn't even
that before I
check.
drove here." Yeah, probably not, but I was just so jacked. I've looked 4 places now, nothing.
Yeah.
Hit up Cody. He got like 8 cases.
Dude, it's people like him is why I can't get it.
Yeah.
Everybody's stocking up, man.
But what
Yeah.
about you, Chase? What's like one of the things that's like been unexpected in your
Well,
adulting, your
so I
first
guess
year?
the most unexpected thing wasn't like what hit me by surprise, I'd say. For me, I felt like my dad always did a good job at trying to let me know like how brutal the real world was, like from an early age. Like he told me like
Yeah.
this shit ain't easy out here. Like he was his own business owner. He's always been his own boss. So it's like if he didn't make his own money, again, he wasn't making money. So he always, instilled that you got to have the hustle a part of the dream as well. And I think the most surprising thing for me would have to be getting out into the real world among your peers and
Yeah.
maybe even the people older than you now that you're in those atmospheres with older crowds than you might be used to. And the most surprising thing is that a lot of those people don't even have like the basic shit figured out.
Yeah.
It's like you've been an adult for 10 years like plus like you're 30 years, you're pushing 30 and you still don't know how to have your finances in track. You still are the type of person that might not even know anything about your taxes or whatnot, and like adult things that you have to learn along the way. I'm surprised that a lot of people are a lot older than us and still don't have a lot of the basic
Yeah.
stuff figured out. That surprised me because I felt like, as a kid, you look up and see all these adults and you think
Hmm.
everybody got everything going on, everybody's got it handled. But in reality, most people don't have it handled. And most people are living paycheck to paycheck even. And nothing, not that there's nothing wrong with that, but at some point when you do that for so long, I feel like you got to realize that there's got to be something else out there. There's got to be more you could put in a different
Yeah.
direction to get more out. So I think for me, it was just a surprise that more people weren't on what we're on and just
Hmm.
like having the awareness and just a little bit of the preparation to get out into the real world. Like it's never going to be easy for anybody. And I think it's just about taking that next step, like we always say, and just going into the risk and doing everything you can in your power to make it happen.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So, do you think age equals wisdom?
No, I think that's the thing. That's kind of my whole point is I think
Yeah.
a lot of people associate age with wisdom. As like a kid, especially, you look up to adults, bro. You're like, these people got their shit together. Like you're looking up, you're like, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. And then you get up to that age and you start seeing, you're like, maybe I don't want to be like them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like they don't really have it as figured out, maybe as like they should, or as that you thought. Because looks can be deceiving. Somebody can look like they have it all together and they don't. Fake it till you make it, they
Yeah.
say. But yeah,
I
so
correct me if I'm wrong, but in a way, sometimes though, when I'm feeling like shit, and then I see somebody else like that, and I'm like, dude, you're 32 and you're doing that. It's like, all right, maybe I'm not doing
Yeah.
so bad. Sometimes it's a little confidence booster, but I remember when I was going to college and I worked at the tire and battery shop at Sam's Club, and like adults, who are 30, 40, just being managers at Sam's Club. And I remember like thinking to myself, like, how are you like content? Like, don't you want more?
Yeah.
Like, this is my part time job while I go through college, and this is your full time gig, and you're making what, $1, $2 more than me. And I think, that really taught me like perspective, and like it's all about what you want out of life. And if you want it, you have to earn it. And some people, I guess, are content with just being the average,
Yeah.
and some people aren't, and you have to make that decision in your own mind. But it
Yeah.
is a weird thing to ponder. How did you get to where you are, and are you happy?
Who
Yeah.
knows, man? Who knows what they went through, to stay at that level. So it's like when
Yeah.
they try to give you game, it's like, man, I've been there. We work, we work like I remember like working with like a 40-year-old at AutoZone, and he's like trying to give me game. I'm like, bro, like you were saying, I'm like,
I don't want to be you per se. You know what I mean? Like, as rude as that sounds, you're like, dude, you're 40 and work on AutoZone. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I'm
Like,
Yeah.
cool. I'm
but it
You know,
cool.
also gives you a perspective of like the whole grand scheme of life. Like, there's a lot of people in that position, and there has to be in a way
Yeah,
to make the world work, and not everybody can be, I guess,
yeah,
outside of it. But it's, I guess if you're happy, I don't know, it's a
yeah.
weird thing
That's
to
all that
ponder.
matters.
yeah.
Happiness is everything.
And then, like you guys said about, you're trying to balance a lot of things with the limited time that you begin to have when you have a packed schedule. And one of those things can be maintaining relationships. People grow up and think, they have a good friend group maybe in high school, and it's like, dude, we're going to be close forever. Like, we're going to conquer the world together. And then
Yeah,
that reality of real life does hit, and people start to have to go their separate ways to figure their own lives out. And it can be hard, and you feel a lot of pressure to be able to maintain those relationships because like it's people that you love and people you care for, but just being an adult is maturing and growing and realizing that, dude, like you two, I was with you guys for 4 years straight, and then now it's like all the times that we see each other face to face are limited now, and so
yeah,
that you got to be okay with that. You got to be able to work around it, and if those relationships are good and they're real for you, you'll make it work.
yeah.
FaceTime, we got FaceTime. You could take flights like it's nothing. Like you
Hmm.
could, if you want to make something work and make a relationship work, you can. It just becomes a lot harder in the real world.
That's the one thing I love about us, though, too. It doesn't matter how long it's been, but I feel like every time we see each other, it's just like I saw you
Yeah.
yesterday. And not everybody has that dynamic, but when you got a good friend group like that, then it
Mhm.
it makes it enjoyable and doable.
And it's like
Yeah,
10 of us that makes us feel that way, which is a lot to say about our friend group in general.
Yeah, it's big.
for sure. And then what do you guys feel about like, when you grow up and now it's more so like we're accomplishing more things than ever, but the pressure of being successful can weigh you down so much to where it's like you accomplished more than ever in the last 2 3 years of this adulthood, but it feels like, it's hard to feel accomplished when there's so many more steps to take and there's so much more work to be done. So it's like that you have to have a balance of forgiving yourself sometimes and making sure that, you appreciate the efforts that yourself has put in. You build the
Mm,
confidence from accomplishing those little things and getting things done. It all works hand in hand. You just got to remember like you're doing better than you were before. And
yeah.
that's the important thing. You just got
Yeah,
to keep getting 1% better.
I completely agree. I mean, I think like being hard on yourself is a good thing at certain times, and you almost have to be to succeed. But like, you also got to remember, like, you're on nobody's time but your own. So you don't have to complete something at the same level that somebody else is at the same exact time. You know what I mean? And so like, take your wins when you got them, and be happy for your own accomplishments, and just keep working for it. But I think
Yeah.
everybody struggles with that, man.
Yeah, and especially like now with social media, I mean, like you can see like imagine seeing like a 16-year-old or like 16 to 20-year-old. I mean, you're like 24 and they're making, driving a Lamborghini, and it's like it's not affecting you because like you said, Hunter, everybody's going to get there at their own point, but it's still like dang, what the heck are you doing at 16 to 20 that, I'm still, doing whatever, trying to figure it out. So I think it's like, it's also like your peers pressure too. Like you're seeing your best friend skyrocket, and it's like you don't want him to leave you behind, because y'all dogs. But like you said, like once you get in certain environments, certain people that you hung around then, you can't hang around now because you on a whole different mindset and level. So I think a little bit of that also plays in the part, at least for me, like at the first start was just like, dang, like I'm seeing people my age going here, going there, and I'm like working my tail off, you know.
Definitely. I mean, I think comparison in a way is like the devil, especially of all your successes. Like if you're always comparing your own success to somebody else's success, there's always going to be a reason to make yourself
Yeah.
feel lesser. And like I think that in a way just hinders you. So like, you shouldn't take your own successes and value them based on what somebody else did because they're in a different boat. And all you can focus on is what you've achieved and what you want to achieve later and what you want to change to maybe get there. But being like, oh man, this sucks because I don't have what they have, doesn't necessarily fix your root issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that really can fuck with the younger people too, because like if you're 16, 17, looking at those other, maybe someone 2 years older than you, an 18-year-old online that has millions of dollars from content creation or from, whatever he got successful at, or maybe he got it passed down to him. And then it's like, you're 16 thinking like, dude, by 22, I have to have a fat house. I got to have a big bag. I got to have my life all figured out. And in reality, sometimes you just end up with like overdraft fees and a bunch of anxiety because it's just not going good. And it's like, you got to be okay with that part of the process because
Yeah.
just because it's not hitting when you think it should hit on your own standards, that doesn't mean it's not happening and it's not in motion. You just have to
Yeah.
trust the process for real because it's hard. Like, yeah, we're getting to the point where like we all want to have houses, paid for or mortgages opened up. You want to have vehicles in your name. You want to have assets. You want to start building up like your true net worth. And in reality, it's not always that easy. And it's not,
Yeah.
you can't just take all the good advice from everybody like us or from the people that have made it even further and just expect to grow from just absorbing. You could be exposed to the knowledge and you could be exposed to like what you have to do, but again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but you just got to keep doing you and actually doing the things.
Yeah.
So you'll get there. If you're 16, 17, if you're even 22 right now, and you think that at this point let's say you didn't go to college. Let's say the last 4 years you've been out in the real world working from 18 to 22, and you're like, dude, I've been slaving my ass away, and like I'm just not getting anywhere. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have any money saved up to be able to make any of these moves. Well, and you're gonna have to look for some more ways to make some money because there's a lot out there. So get into the side hustles. Don't just rely maybe on one source of income to get you to that point. Because the same things that get you to earning 5 figures a year is not the same thing that's going to get you to 6, 7, 8 figures. Those are all different levels of different things that you have to do to get to those points.
And also, I think it's good to like tell yourself that like other people have those feelings and like know where you've been. Like even like me, like during busy season, I was working 60 hours a week and I'm scrolling on social media and I'm seeing people who are my age with Lamborghinis. I'm like, dude, I fucking hate my life. But like, it's okay to sometimes feel that way and then be like, you know what? No, this is my process. This is how I'm going to do it. But like, everybody goes through it and you just got to
Yeah.
find a way to work yourself out of it.
And that's that quick money though. They're making that type of money at our age. They're either trapping, they got it from their parents, or they're a ball player or do some type of entertainment.
Yeah. It does sometimes make you
Yeah.
jealous though, man. When you get off a long shift and you're like, motherfucker.
Like, dad, well, like, why couldn't you be 6'6", 250? Like, what's going on?
Why couldn't I be a nepotist baby?
Like,
Dude,
parents do, mom do better. Like,
another
yeah,
thing, like on the contrary, is like once you do start filling your plate up with all these different things, you might have a main job and a couple of side hustles or whatnot, and you're starting to really fill up your schedule full of productive things. You could start to also get like that hustle guilt to where it's like if you have too much free time, you're like, I feel behind. I feel like I'm not getting enough done. Like
yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a position where my plate is completely full. I don't have room for much more in a schedule right now. And for that reason, like anytime I catch myself like just sitting around or like taking an hour break that or a 10-minute break that turns into an hour break, and then it's like, dude, like that hour was valuable. Like you just fucked up. Now you're an hour behind. And it's like you can't also keep playing that catch up game of like, dude, I gotta keep just stay present in the moment, do what you gotta do. And if you do those things that you set out to do when you say to do them, you'll never really have that problem. It's just about like procrastination and not getting the things done because I'll tell you, firsthand, I'm a fucking king procrastinator, dude. I've been turning
yeah.
assignments in at 11:59 on Sunday. Every dude, I would hit a couple twins like 2 minutes late, like type in the message like, sorry, I was publishing it. And it's like that's not the best way to do things. I'm not trying to say
Yeah.
it does work for me sometimes because I kind of like the pressure. I'm not trying to give myself an excuse of why I put things off, but in my mind, if you give me 3 weeks to get something done, and in my head I know it can take 4 days or a week, what the fuck am I spending those first 2 weeks doing that for when I could be doing more things leading up to that point to get
Yeah.
that done? So it's like,
See, I'm the opposite. If you give me 3 weeks to get it done, I want to get it done in week 1, so then I don't have to fucking worry about it anymore. Like I turn shit in like a week early, but it's because like to me it like weighs on me. I'm like I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do
Yeah.
that. But to me also like procrastination ends up taking up a lot of my time. If I procrastinate and I sit around, then I just waste it. So I feel like I just got to get it done and on to the next. But the thing you were talking about with your plate being full, one thing I want to mention is you do gotta watch like burnout, because like that is real. And if you're always filling your plate and you're like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to run, and you never take any time for yourself, you're gonna hit a period where you're like, fuck, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a lot harder, I think, to catch up once because I'm tired. I'm going to take a week off.
yeah,
And then that's going to be worse than if you just worked a little bit less those last 3 weeks and kept working, that same amount all the way through, rather than work your ass off and then stop for a week. Then work your ass off and then stop for a week. If you keep a congruent process, you just got to watch that. And I know I started feeling that like when I was doing busy season in school, and there'd be days where I don't even want to get out of bed, but I have to log on to work. But it's because I'm just feeling that pressure. And sometimes you just gotta pull yourself away and try not to burn yourself out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was a weird procrastinator. Like, I'd be the type of dude that'll like start the project, get like the outline done, and wait a week, and then do the body. All right, then wait till like the last day. All right, got my conclusion.
You're like
I
half
like,
doing it.
yeah, like I'm not. It's not too bad. At least I got a piece of it done.
I like how we have all 3 types here. You know what I mean?
hey man, sometimes pressure builds diamonds, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you fold, but it's all good because whatever works for you. If you find yourself being any of these types, take what we just said with a grain of salt. Like I said, I'm not saying that wait until the pressure's on is the best time to do it. Hunter's saying he likes the opposite. If you got 3 weeks, do it week 1. That would probably be a better bet for most of you to follow. You just got to know yourself.
I'll break it down.
I like it. Yeah, that's the good middle road right there.
Yeah, just do you, and you got to know yourself. You got to be able to be aware enough to know what you can accomplish.
Oh my gosh,
You gotta know yourself.
Yeah.
Dude, just be more aware. Self-aware. Just figure it. Literally, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do it. Just figure it the fuck out.
Just figure it out.
That's what the great Greek
I used to love
philosophers
telling
used to
her
say.
that. Just figure it out. Like, I don't
Just fucking know yourself and figure it out, dude.
But we're here to help you, though. I promise.
All right, I have a question that's gonna go into our second segment. So, we talked about how coming into the real world has been a little bit of a reality check, and you got to take it as it comes to you. But what are some of the things that you could look back on now, maybe as a kid? Like, what's some of the dumbest shit that you used to believe in as a kid, maybe before it like all got real, and you were like, all right, dude, that was wrong.
My mom used to tell me that you couldn't wash clothes and shower at the same time. And
Why?
for my first year in house at my apartment, I didn't wash clothes or shower at the same time. Like I would shower, then wash clothes. I wash my clothes, go to the gym, then shower.
What was her reason?
To this day, I never question.
You gotta ask.
Yeah. But that was one thing and then like recently, of course, I was like in a rush, so I was washing clothes and showering, and I was like, oh, I mean, I still have hot water, so I think I'm all good. That's one for me.
I don't really know any, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but
No,
know.
I got a good one. It kind of ties back into what we did say earlier, but like I feel like as a kid, me personally, I always thought that people that were older than me and that were living on their own, I thought that if you were living on your own, like you were rich, had it going on. I thought that everybody that was like older was successful and that like everybody had shit going on. And then you grow up and you're like, dude, none of these people got that much going on. It's like they just can't live with their parents no more. Like people aren't all out here living sunshines and rainbows, and that's how kids are. You think everybody has it, easy because your life's on easy mode as a kid. Often you're not, bound with responsibilities. You don't have to take care of nothing. You really just got to go to school and behave a little bit, But
that's a crazy take, though. To say,
I felt kind of the same way. Okay.
No, I was saying that's kind of a crazy take to say it's weird for somebody. What age range? Because I couldn't move back home and I live by myself. and I'm just grinding.
You said you couldn't or could?
I couldn't move back home.
Yeah, that's what I'm. So what are you saying?
I thought you said that was weird, right?
No, I was saying as a kid, you see all these people and you think they're very, stable people. But then it's like, no, they weren't stable. They're just too old to live with their parents. So they actually genuinely had to figure that part out. Just living on your own, I'm saying. Like, in my mind as a kid, living on your own means that, oh, you have shit set up. Like, you have a good, but that doesn't always mean that.
In what regards? Like you got your own place but can't afford to do nothing else?
Like, dude, I'm just saying, people in general don't have
Oh
their
no,
shit
'cause
together
I
as
feel
much
like I'm
as
being attacked here.
if the shoe fits, fucking wear it,
I
dude.
live alone.
Yeah, so what are you saying?
No,
What is living alone? No, my gosh. No,
I'm
I
just
get
fucking around. I know, Chase. I kind of agree with you though, because like when I was a kid, I remember thinking like, like my 22-year-old cousin like had it all put together, and when I'm
yes.
22, I'm gonna have it all put together.
Yeah.
And then I remember being 22 and sitting at my desk and be like, I feel like I'm 18 still, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life, and I thought I was gonna know when I was 22, and it's like every year, I remember that progression was like I thought I would be a little bit further along than I am because I looked up to the people when I was younger, thinking that they were probably further along than they were. So it's just that progression takes time. I got a funny one. When I was a kid, I used to I'm talking like a little kid, or maybe not even like that little, but I would like discount how hard it was to work an 8-9 hour day. And I remember like my parents coming home and I'm like, wait, why the fuck are they so tired? Like, why don't they just want to make me dinner? Or
No, I
like,
feel
why are they
that.
complaining about taking me to the park? Like, because in my head, I didn't do anything hard, so why did they do anything hard? But
Yeah,
now I come home and I'm like, I would hate to have to deal with a kid right now.
just worked out. I just went to school for 8 hours. I was like, what are you talking about? You can't take me to
Life
basketball
is
practice.
Dude, Hunter, that reminds me of that story you told us the one time. We were talking about this topic some other time, I forget, but you were like talking about how as a kid you were a fat kid and how like you'd be sitting there and your dad would walk in and take his boots off and sit on the couch and you'd be like, dude, what's for dinner?
Instantly, and he'd get so annoyed. He's like, I just walked in the door. And I'm like, why are you upset, man? I'm just trying to eat dinner.
I can just imagine Hunter with the game
Yeah.
headphones on and he's like playing Fortnite. So what?
It's like, dude.
Yeah, like what are we eating?
What's for dinner? Dude, if I was him, I'd have backhanded me. I'd be like, you fucking ungrateful dick. I'm putting food on the table. He'd be like, I haven't even sat down yet.
You meet him at the car, you run up to the car and daddy.
Meanwhile, like, I could have made a snack
God.
probably. Like, I was at home.
Bro, no.
Bro.
Speaking about that, bro, I was on TikTok or Instagram Reels, one of the two, and this man's daughter had got a hold of paint. It was like purple, red, and green paint, and painted the whole kitchen floor, the dog, and the fridge. And all you see is him holding their like clothes basket, and he's like, "I'm leaving." It's like stuff like that. It's like I'm looking forward to, like, as I get older and eventually have kids or whatever, but it's like that's the going into what I like. One thing that I expected, didn't know, is like how tough it is to raise kids. Like, I didn't, like, coming from a single mom that had me at 41. She was pretty much established, maybe not so much emotionally but mentally, to where she had me on go. For other people, it's like if they having kids at like 16, 18, they daggone growing up with the kid, so they maturing with the kid also. So that was one thing that I didn't realize as a kid, that some people don't have that same home training, or that same home structure as you do.
Do you have friends with kids now, dude? Because I got some friends with kids now, and I don't think I'm ready for a kid now. And I'm like, how the fuck do you have a kid? Like, but I have a couple buddies who have kids, and it kind of baffles me. Like, I don't think I'm there.
I just met one of my mans from middle school. I ain't seen him about a decade. My boy's 24 with 4 kids.
I feel like if you have a kid at like, anywhere like 18 or even before you're like 22, like you learn so much from 18 to 22. Those 4 years of your life are so influential. And it's like, I feel like you have to grow faster if you have a kid, but like that's got to take something away or put a lot of stress on you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't do it. That's just like, I guess kudos to you. If you're out there doing it, man, like good for you for fucking being a good dad and figuring that shit
It's
out.
hard, man. Because I remember.
Well. I wouldn't go as far as to say being a good dad. Cause
If you're being a good dad.
some of these dudes ain't good dads, bro.
I guess if you're being a good dad.
Yeah, but it's hard, man. It's hard. It's like because like you think, for a guy that's, they don't have anything lined up. The second they make that mistake, you got to start working. So if you planned on going to school or going traveling or even like with being a college athlete, everything that stuff gets harder. I mean, with NIL, they make it's a little easier for them now, but back in the day, like you had to put your whole life aside, for that kid. And it's like, so then it comes to think, like, is that parent ever happy, because that just changed his whole life. Her and him.
You got to think eventually, the kid is worth everything. You got a beautiful
Yeah,
child, but it definitely would affect your life.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but like at the same time, those kids don't choose to be born. Okay, that's the act
Yeah.
of irresponsible adults not making good decisions most of the time, and that's where it can be tricky because then you have two people that come together who probably weren't even meant to be together,
Exactly.
let alone have a kid together and bring a whole life into this world. And then boom, you have two parents that resent each other. You have a kid that's sitting there looking for direction, and neither of these folks are able to even provide anything
Yeah.
because they were too selfish and didn't realize that they couldn't put their horniness aside for an hour of pleasure maybe, and then now they have this little kid here who's probably going to grow up and not have a lot of structure, not a lot of guidance,
Yeah.
because they were never supposed to be there. And it's the
Yeah.
reality of it. It's some people, shit, I'll say it, I was definitely not supposed to be born, bro. My parents had too many kids already. It's so selfish to bring a kid into this world and to not provide them almost everything, because at the end of the day, you owe them everything, they owe you nothing. Like, and that's my perspective. Like, I feel like, granted, I feel like I do owe my parents a lot for the life that they have provided for me, and I do want to repay them in so many ways. Unfortunately, a lot of people know out there that don't have the best parents all the time. It ain't always that simple because, parents go through things too. Like you said, Elijah, your mom was 41 when she had you. So she had her finances in line, but even then, it's like if you were her first kid at 41, she doesn't know what it's like to have a kid, even though she's 41 and mature. The only thing that's doing it is having the kids. So,
Yeah.
back to the teenagers having kids or 20-year-olds, like you said, Hunter, our friends are starting to have kids. And in a way, you could take it two ways. You could not be ready at all and you could crumble, and that kid ends up growing up, with a very, average
Unstable.
level
Yeah.
life. Or you could take that route to where it's like, okay, dude, I'm a good guy. Maybe it's time to just boss up. Maybe it's time to go on another level because, okay, now I have other people depending on me for real.
Yeah.
And that's the
what
outlook
you
I've
should
always
do.
had. I feel like you have a kid, you got to go harder.
That's how I always thought too. Like when I have a kid, I want to obviously be financially prepared and ready. But like, say I was to have one, in the next 9 months, just per se, I would do everything I can to give everything to that kid. Like, no, I wouldn't be buying watches for myself anymore. I wouldn't be doing those other things for myself because like that becomes your priority, and you got to put yourself second. I'd want to provide them everything that I could within reason.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to get them, the $1,000 pair of tennis shoes, but I'd like to get them nice things. You know what I mean? And then within reason.
Hunter, you probably buy your kids Skechers, wouldn't you?
No, no, no. Come on now. Come on now. You're some respected. They're getting Vans, right? They're getting Converses, right?
Oh my gosh. I can imagine us three with kids, bro. I would love to have kids with my best friends all at around the same
Yeah, like the
time.
same age.
And
That'd be
like
tough.
once
Like
a
a little
year,
army.
yeah, we do like grown ups, like the grown ups movie. And like once a year we like link up or we buy a big land and just buy houses all the build our own neighborhood.
The friendly
Like ranch.
compound.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Good time to go into the next segment. So today I have a little segment called Cap or Fact, and I want to throw some takes at you guys and just get some simple responses of whether we think it's fact or cap. So first one would be a very simple one. Hard work beats talent. Is that fact or cap?
Fact.
What industry?
Everything.
Life.
It's life.
I'll say cap just so we can debate.
Okay.
What's your take?
I mean, I think it's a fact because, like talent will only get you so far. But if you're willing to work and you put in that grind and you're on your shit, like you'll be able to go that extra mile and you'll be able to surpass that talent, with whether that's in sports or intelligence even. If someone's really smart but they don't ever put in the effort and you spend your time studying your ass off, like eventually you'll be just as smart as they are and surpass it. So I think you can always work harder past the things you were initially given versus somebody who was just given something nice and chosen not to do more with it.
Yeah.
And I the reason why I said cap is because sometimes I look out and I think about, as we keep going back to social media, because you know how prevalent that is in our lives, as young adults. It's like you can see something blow up just like that, and it's hard to even say talent because the shit that blows up now it's not even good.
No.
But let's say for somebody that, actually blows up off talent, now it's like they don't have to put in that extra hard work now. Now they can just hop online, boom, crunch out a couple videos or whatever. And then I feel
But
like it's easier to get noticed now if you have the talent to do it.
maybe, but think about it in like a longevity, like 10 years. If they just all right, they blow up once and then they fuck around for 10 years, and you start at zero, and every day you're putting out 110% good content, and you're actually putting effort into it. I would say in 10 years you're either going to be at them or ahead of them because it's that long haul.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I would have to agree with that point. I think it all depends on your goals. It depends on what you want out of something. Like, yeah, Elijah, like it is easier than ever to become like a one-hit wonder nowadays. It's easier than ever to get a viral video that gets 10 million likes out of nowhere. But that 10 million likes video could maybe get you a million followers, let's say. Okay, but that guy that has 1,000 followers today that stays consistent and keeps working at his craft, and it's like he sees that guy that just blew up. But like Hunter said, within 5 years of keeping at his consistency, he could easily be at that same level, if not greater, just by sticking at it. And it's like if you keep sticking through things, I think the hard work eventually always prevails long run. So it all depends. But I respect that point because sometimes the talent just hops on the scene and it's just like it's undeniable. You got to just kind of accept it.
And then
Especially the
with talent, most of those guys they have somebody to breastfeed them the whole time and hold their hand. So all they need to do, hey, just go out there, do your thing. We'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
But with hard work, it's like I'm doing this shit by the mud. I
Yeah.
got this by myself. So it's like it means more when it's hard work, and people take it for granted when it's just the talent.
for sure.
I like how
Fire.
we did that, dog.
Fire.
That's fire.
Yeah, that was fire. I got a good one. This is a good captured fact, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with my opinion right away. So
Okay.
this one is if they wanted to, they would. And I just am a firm
Woo!
believer in that one. That is, I don't think there's any reason for that to be cap. I think that's 100% facts because, granted, with all the things we've stated and how life can throw a bunch of shit at you, throw roadblocks in your way, things that you feel like, are just throwing you off your path, whatever. But that's where intention comes into play because what are your intentions? Because if you have good intentions for someone, then you're going to do that thing that you said you're going to do. If you
Yeah.
have interest and you actually give a fuck about the person or just being, an empathetic person, like, and having empathy, then you're going to do that because you want to and because it feels good and it's rewarding to show up for somebody. To pick yourself up, you pick someone else up. So,
It sounded good both ways.
point blank period, if you wanted to do something for someone or if they say that they wanted to do it for you, then you would and they would. Because guess what? That's where it's like, yeah, we have our time and we have, schedules that we need to figure in, but guess what? Who's making the schedule most of the time? You. So
Hmm.
guess what? Do you care enough to do that with that person or do that for that person? If you do, then you're gonna do it. If not, then you didn't want to do it and they didn't want to do it. So
Yeah. And the question was, or the factor cap was, if they wanted to be there, they'd be there pretty much, right?
just
I
like if
thought
they wanted to, then they would.
They would.
I agree. I thought you were talking about though, like on a personal level, like if you wanted to accomplish something, like you would make the time to do it. But I agree both ways. If you wanted to do something with somebody else, or if you have a goal you wanted to accomplish, then you would.
Yeah.
You'd figure it
Yeah.
out.
No, that's
I
a good. I
thought,
Figure
didn't
it
even
the
think about
fuck
that.
out. That's what you used to say, Elijah.
yeah, I'll be the villain. I'll be the villain, I guess, for this segment, and just give the opposite view, just for other people that might feel other way. But for me, it's like sometimes I've come to see that, it might not be the right moment for you. Like we were saying, if it's like meant to be, if it's like meant that thing meant to be, then you'll go out and get it or whatnot. And sometimes I feel like sometimes with the timing of where you're at, you might not be able to take on what's coming. Or
That's
if
true.
they did want
Timing
to
is
be there,
everything.
if they did want to be there, they'll definitely be there. Because everything's 50-50. You can't do what that other person's not doing. But at the same time, that could be God telling you, "Hey, buddy, let's put the brakes on this real quick. Let's reassess, and then we'll bring it back." And I find myself like in that situation. Like last year, I was ready for that next jump in my career, but then I like after sitting down and meditating about it, I was like, no, I think I can still do some accomplishments in what I'm doing now. With the operation side of things before I get into that next stage. And I was happy that I waited because I was able to learn so much more and mature a little bit more before that time. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take, at least.
And I'm glad that you said that point because I guess when I initially answered that real quickly, I didn't even factor that little part in. It's like sometimes timing's just not right for it. Like there's
Yeah,
been plenty of times where I would have loved to be somewhere or with somebody doing that thing, but it just wasn't right timing for me,
it
or
wasn't
just
right
like
time.
it didn't feel right. Like it's like the idea of it wasn't what pushed me away. It's just the timing of it might have pushed me away. It's like
Yeah.
this isn't right for me right now.
Hmm.
So I agree with that. It can get deeper.
And have you ever been on the other side of it? So you're the person that's needing to be reached out, or you're doing the reaching out, or you're supposed to be the person reaching out but not reaching out. How does that feel when you on that other side rather than being the person waiting to be reached out to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, 'cause
feel.
sometimes you forget things get lost in the shuffle, and it's like, oh man, I meant to call my buddy, last week, and
Yeah,
I'm not ignoring him, and it's not that I don't care about
yeah.
him, but like life just takes hold. Sometimes
Hmm.
one thing turns into two things, and two things turns into five things, and next thing you
Yeah,
know, it's fucking Friday, and you're like, and you just forget about it, and it's not that like you didn't want to hang out with that person, it's just that like at the time when you talked about it, you didn't have the time, and then you lost track of it through
yeah.
life. And I've been there a lot, and that's
Hmm.
it happens.
And that's what brings me back to Chase, what we were talking about earlier in our first segment is with the friendships, like losing those friendships. That's immediately what I started thinking about. It's like, when we come from a fraternity, we knew like what, 80 guys.
Yeah,
We were close with about, you would say you had a good friendship with about 15 at least.
I'd say even
I'd
more
say
though.
Yeah,
more, like
Way
at
at least.
more.
least
Yeah,
30.
I
At
was
least.
lowballing. I was lowballing. I ain't wanted to brag how close we were, but
Yeah,
for
dude, we're
us, it
close
was
as
at least
fuck.
30. But so now it's like now we're hitting like 15 of us to where like we're still like this. So best friend wise, we're probably at like what, 5, 7 of us. That's like we will make that flight to come see you.
Yeah,
So it's just like understanding that is like, that love that I had for you guys, or it's still there, even though we might not talk for a whole another 3 years. As soon as I see you, it's gonna be the same thing, like you were saying, like Hunter was saying, like I saw you yesterday. So
Yeah.
that was my whole big point about that person that's supposed to be reaching out to you, or that job that should be coming in your life. Maybe it's just not the time, or like maybe it's in due time. Like it's still something that you need to be building on for that the relationship to work. Or sometimes you just phase out. You on the bigger and better things.
yeah. Okay, I got another one for you guys. Actually, I have a few good ones. So first, and I think this is something that's going to be a very relevant topic, with just the whole environment of this channel. So, do you guys think that having clout or seeking clout can kill your character?
Definitely can.
I think you can get lost in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you just start
Absolutely.
doing anything for clout. Like
Yes.
what's the one guy that he used to get haircuts and stuff? Boot gang. You know,
Yeah,
and
boot
he
gang,
went
whole lot of
viral.
gangster.
Yeah, he changed his life. He's a devout Christian now and goes to like the prisons and stuff, and
Do you know who he's talking
mentors.
about, Hunter?
No.
It's this dude that used to like probably like 2017, 2019 era. He was like real popular on the internet for like Elijah said, he would do anything for the clout. Like he'd go and get
And
haircuts And he would literally be like, oh, he'd start recording and he'd be like, yeah, he's looking at his haircut. And then he'd just get up and run out the store and be like, haha, like you thought I was paying for that haircut? Like, fuck out of here. Or he'd literally go into like restaurants like Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' and like go behind the counter and take a bunch of donuts and just walk out and laugh. And like, he would do nutty shit just for
Did he
the
get in legal
attention.
trouble?
He
He
was like,
probably,
yeah,
I'm
he
sure.
got locked up a couple times. But he was like the
Yeah.
godfather. He was the godfather of that, of that trend of, just doing anything just
Yeah.
to
Just,
get views.
just for the view.
And it's like you definitely lose yourself, because now you're willing to do anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything.
Even on like a smaller scale, I think you just sometimes when you're caught up chasing, not necessarily even clout, maybe if it's money, you're caught up always chasing like that next raise or that next dollar. I think it's easy to lose sight of like why you started this and like what you initially wanted, and then to just always be like lost in that like I need more, kind of like that addiction of it all. And I think that's an easy path to go down to. So if you're always like chasing something, I think it's easy to lose sight of like your original self.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can be dangerous when you get caught up in all of the things that really don't matter. Like clout, in the end of the day, is not a currency. Like you're not gonna be like you could eventually turn it into currency, in this generation, but it's not gonna get you to the places that you want to be just by the attention. Attention isn't success. You can't just crave the attention because you think it's going to bring success or say that you want success but all you're really doing is craving attention.
Yeah.
You know what
Or
I'm
you
saying?
can get the success from the attention, but not know what to do with the success
Yeah.
mentally. So like, like it's just a weird world we live in.
Okay, and then next capper fact is that men can't heal in today's world without being called weak.
I'll
So
say cap. That's just the worldly
Yeah,
young
I don't
young
agree with that.
young mindset people. Yeah.
I think there's a semblance of being like a man, but I also think there's a semblance of like you got to work on yourself, admit when you're wrong, and then heal and try to be better. And I think that's also part of being a man.
I think it's not even so far. Like people get caught up in the man woman feelings, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're still a human. You're still gonna go through some shit. You're still gonna feel that pain. You're still gonna feel some
Yeah.
sadness, anger, whatever. And you have to heal from it actually. So it's like if you don't, you're just gonna keep being a shitty person in society. So instead of just trying to hold everything in and hold all that stress on your shoulders and on your back, that eventually is like a trickle down effect. It's like you start with, brushing one thing off and not really worrying about it, but it's still in your head. And then another thing happens and it's like you don't deal with it. And then it just keeps piling up. And then before you know it, that little pebble of like stress that was on your shoulder turns into a boulder. And now you're just like breaking your back, holding it all in.
Mhm.
When in reality, you have to heal from those things or you're not going to be able to grow and continue to get better.
Yeah.
Especially like when you start thinking about like having kids, that saying the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Like if you're not all 100% there yourself, you're going to start portraying those little things onto your children and they're like super malleable. So then they're going to carry it. And then, it's going to be that cycle. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. They're going to have the problems that you had because you didn't take the time to figure them out.
Yeah. What is weak though is putting it on social media though. Like, don't
Yeah.
be a dude that's like going through something and then the first thing you want to do is hop on live and like to put it out. Like those people aren't gonna help you. All they gonna say is, bro, it's gonna be all right, and that's it. So
Reach out to people. Don't just
yeah,
post.
reach out. Yeah, reach out to your close ones, and if you don't have nobody close, like some people say it is weird talking to a stranger about your feelings, but if you don't have nobody, get a therapist
Go to therapy. It's
or get somebody that don't even it's what's the word I'm thinking about to where you don't even see them, like you just confess your feelings.
like a priest, like in
No,
confession.
not in a priest like religion way, just like it could be like a confession but just with a regular therapist, like you just say, yo.
On a on a real note, I do think like men have like a there's a lot of mental health with men that never gets overlooked, and I think like therapy in a way is like demonized. Like there's nothing wrong if you're like, man, I don't feel right and I need to go and talk to somebody. Like I don't think that
Yeah.
should be looked down upon. You don't have to tell anybody you're even doing it. You take an
Yeah.
hour once every 2 weeks or once a week or once a month even, and you just go and you figure that shit out because that's going to
Yeah.
benefit you in the long run. And the only thing that's keeping you from doing that is pride, and that pride is not worth it. Figure your shit out You can get it out of the way with. And I agree. Don't put on social media. That's a weird thing that people do.
That's
It's
weird.
like, oh,
Yeah.
boo hoo, feel bad for me, poor me. Like nobody's gonna feel bad for you but you, buddy. You know.
Yeah.
Straight up. Straight up. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned therapy, Hunter. To the young men out there listening, don't feel like you can't go to therapy, you can't seek help, you don't feel like
Mhm.
you're weak because you feel like you need that help. If anything, you're probably even stronger than you think because you acknowledge that you need help. And that's the first thing, is being aware that there's a problem. You have to acknowledge the
Yeah.
problem to be able to solve the problem. So don't feel any type of way. Therapy is good. Talking to people about your problems that care about you and genuinely will give you good feedback and listen to you is good. Don't hold it in. You're just going to take it
Yeah.
out later in life on something else that probably had nothing to do with that situation, anyways.
Yeah. Go to the
So
homies first.
talk to the
Homie,
homies, man. The homies always
home,
help.
homies, family, therapist. That's whoever I'm going through. I'm gonna call Chase first. It's either gonna be Chase or my cousin Terry, and then from there, my mom, and then after that, back to my friends. Do another circle around.
Yeah. And another thing, and not to push like any type of religion on anybody or anything, but also don't forget about the big man upstairs. Like don't
Yeah.
forget that there's somebody that's greater than all of this, that number one has a plan for you,
Yeah.
but number two is also the most open ear and most kind and forgiving of all. Jesus Christ did die for our sins, to be able to be a human and to go through all
Mhm.
the whole experience of life. So don't forget that that's all part of the greater plan too. You
Yeah.
can't have good times without bad times. So whenever you're feeling those type of ways, don't hesitate to send up a prayer. Don't hesitate to find a relationship with God if you don't currently have one. You might be on the
Yeah.
fence. You might be like, I don't respect like the outdated practices of religion. I don't respect the way my grandma and grandparents tried to push religion on our generation. And it's like, you don't have to do it a specific type of way. In my eyes, if you have a personal relationship with God and you are locked in on that and have some faith to look up to, you don't have to be at church every Sunday for it to get the same
Mhm.
effect. You could send a prayer from your bedroom. You could, take that prayer at the end of the day or in the beginning of the morning. Don't be afraid to, look to God for some guidance, because he's always there. He's always listening, and he's the one with the plan anyways. So why not
Yeah.
talk to him about it?
So I gotta change my order. God, Chase, and my close, like my brothers, my mom, and then
Yeah. God first, everything else
God
second.
first, everything else.
Segment 5. So now we're getting to the point where we passed some game on, man. We've been giving a lot of game out recently. We've been giving a lot of tips and tricks and practices, but there's always more. So let's talk a little bit about some game we might have been sitting on. We might still have, a piece of advice or perspective that we might have that's been on our mind lately. It could be about life. It could be about business, dating, confidence, mental health. Whatever's the real thing that you're going through that you might have not mentioned so far. Is there anything that you guys got some game that might not even apply to us three, but just to yourself individually?
So it's funny you say that. So like I was telling y'all, I got a chance to catch up with one of my good friends from middle school. I haven't seen him since what, maybe 2013 to 2016, and I would love to have him on this pod to tell his story, but he's seen it all. He's actually from Cleveland, Ohio, but he was just we were talking about the difference between like being in the streets and then like being in the corporate world, and it's like we were talking about Columbus, Ohio. And he was like, "Man, Columbus is so bad," and I was just telling me like, "Yeah, I heard, but I don't really see it." And he was like, "Man, sometimes you can be so high up there that you don't even see what's going on in the gutter." So that really opened my eyes to saying like we just need to be aware of even the situations that we're not a part of. The things that's going on in the world, we have no recollection of, but it's hurting other people. Other people are, you know, can't even support, can't even wear certain things. So be conscious of your lifestyle is not the only one around. It's other people going through things that they wish you were going through, you couldn't even imagine. So that would be my thing. Game is just understand that you're not the only one going hard, and understand that like it's always gonna be somebody else that's struggling that you're not really seeing. So just be conscious of them, and love them, and don't judge them based off how they handle situations, because you just never know.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's
Just to
big.
just to feed off that, you always got to remember that you never know what someone's going through. You never, like, granted, we talk about everybody goes through real life, everybody's trials and tribulations, but you really never know what the man right
Yeah.
next to you is going through deep down at home or inside of his head, or just, you know, whatever he's dealing with or she's dealing with. You always have to be mindful for others. And that's why you can't just walk around without being an empathetic person. You have to understand
Yeah.
people if you ever want to get anywhere in life, because you can't just expect, okay, yeah, me and my friends are great. We have good mindsets. But at the end of the day, what about the friend in the group that nobody's really checking on? And what about the guy that, okay, we feel like 4 out of 5 of us are solid right now. What about the fifth guy? You know, that he's
Yeah.
being quiet right now. We don't know what he's going through, or even outside the friend group, you never know what someone's going through. You know, just be mindful.
Yeah, those are both great topics. And then just build on that, I'd like to say being thankful, I think, is something that's good. You know, like taking like what Elijah said into account. You know, it's easy to look at your life and to be like, this sucks and this sucks. But also, it's all harder to look and be like, some people would kill to be where you are right now. And
Mm-hmm.
some people wish they had what you had. And even if you think, you know, maybe this isn't exactly what I want, maybe it is exactly what somebody else wants. So,
Yeah.
you know, be thankful for what you have, what God's given you. And, you know, if you want to change something, you got to work to change it, but appreciate what you have and what you've built.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. And another thing that I've been heavy on recently that I've probably been holding back a little bit, and it goes in regards to what we're doing with this whole platform here. You're never going to grow in life if you're constantly worried about the opinion of people who don't even understand themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean,
I need my celebration after that one, Chase.
like, these people out here, and no shade to anybody that's lost or confused. That's what we're here for. We want to help people that need this additional feedback and need these inspirational tips and tricks. But at the same time, like right now, we're taking a risk on ourselves. Like, we popped out doing this and nobody expected it. None of our friends even knew it was coming. And it's like, you can't worry about what your peers and everybody else is
Yeah.
going to think about you, because at the end of the day, most of those people are still like stuck not doing anything and just in the thinking stage of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So don't hate on somebody for trying something that you didn't have the balls to even, you know, go after. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, somebody might have tried. You might have watched your boy go try something that he was real excited about and he failed flat on his face. But guess what, bro? That motherfucker did it. And granted, he didn't pass it or succeed at it, but he did it. And guess what? Now he has
Yeah.
experience to learn from, and he's going to make his next move strategically, because guess what? He went out of his comfort zone and he tried something that wasn't a given. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so just remember that not everybody's going to understand your plan, but that's also because they might not understand themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a wolf doesn't concern himself with the opinion of sheep, you
yeah.
know? And so if that's what you want to be, don't concern yourself with people who think it's stupid for you doing what you're doing. Just do what you want to do the best you can do it, and everything will fall in place.
Mm-hmm. Some real.
Absolutely.
And I think my last one, just a game. My mom used to say this all the time. She was like, "All right, you're gonna be eating wish sandwiches." Wish sandwiches meaning like you turned down something that you had the opportunity to do, whether it was a job opportunity, internship, you know, going to do this, you know, to help a third world country rebuild. And it's like those experiences you're gonna wish you did later on. So she used to be like, I used to be like, Elijah, you want to go to this camping trip? No, mom. All right, you gonna be eating wish sandwiches. And sure enough, I ain't go. Then I'd be like, dang, I wish I went. So, you know, it all ties in. Like, you know, whatever you wish for, you know, take it. You know, whatever, anything that comes up in your life right now, we're young. You know, be bold, be brave. You know, take that leap. You know, or you gonna be eating wish sandwiches.
Oh, that's great. So I have one more segment that I want us to kind of skim through real quick, and that would be, you know, what's one personal skill that you have right now that you feel like is very underrated? Like something that is kind of maybe carrying you recently. Like it's like you just realized it's like, okay, I have this trait to me, and I never even considered it something that's important, but like right now it's kind of doing its thing. Do you guys have any of those right now that's like maybe an underrated skill that you might have not known you had?
Being, I don't even know how to put this in a word, but making people comfortable. Like it'd be times I'll meet somebody and within 5 minutes they done already don't know their whole life story. You know, they feel like they can open up to me, and I definitely feel like that's something that's hidden, like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I was going to kind of say something similar. I was just going to say having like a good personality, not to toot my own horn, I guess, but like I feel like, some people, don't have a lot of friends or at work are very quiet. I feel like everywhere I go, I'm able to make friends and like, I laugh in the office with my coworkers and we throw things at each other. And I feel like I'm able to create a good friend group in multiple different segments of my life. And I think that has actually like furthered me in more ways than I've given it credit for.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love both of those. I'd say a couple things. One, I've just been learning how to not respond to every situation. Not everything that happens around me is not everything around me that happens is, worthy of a response.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you're quick to just like, okay, someone barks at you and you bark right back. And it's like, dude, are we barking or are we biting? Is it real or is it just like, are you just fucking chirping and just fucking
Yeah.
yapping? So I've just been heavy on the, if it doesn't directly affect me or if it isn't going to make me better, or if someone's not trying to, inflict some type of bad thing, it's like, is it really worth a response?
Yeah.
So that's one. And then another one, it kind of goes with that, but I've just been heavy on the, like, not oversharing everything. It's so often where you get into those, everybody likes talking about themselves, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Mhm.
Everybody eventually gets
Yeah.
into those times where, like, if you're going to talk to someone, how many people are waiting to just get to their part where they could start talking what they want to talk? And it's like,
Yeah.
like we talked about this in the last episode a little bit, but like, you got to remember that not everybody cares about everything that you have going on. And even if it's your close friends, like, how many times I've seen us have conversations where someone's trying their hardest to get something across and everybody else in the room is just completely just bypassing it. And it's like he's on his third time trying to say it. And it's like, but clearly nobody cares. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish
We
that
do
we
not
did.
care.
We don't like, and that's where it's like give and take. It's like, yeah, you want to be in a room where people are supportive and you want to be around people that are, valuing what you have to say. And yes, but are you oversharing? Are you over saying things that don't need to be said?
We said. Yeah.
So
That's the one thing, dude, I've been telling myself recently is like nobody cares but you. Your work doesn't care if you don't feel well, if you're depressed, your bills don't care. Nothing, the world doesn't stop for for your own personal opinions or your own personal feelings. So sometimes you just gotta like remind yourself that and be like, I just gotta focus on the task at hand and not that.
yeah, and then I want to leave the end of this with one good quote. It's by Jocko Willink. I believe his name is. I might have chopped his last name, but super motivational. I think he's a retired Navy SEAL. He does a lot of content now, and he has this speech called the Good Speech, and it goes a little bit like this. It's like, oh, you lost your job, good. It's like, oh, you're behind on your rent, good. And then it's like, oh, you just got broken up with and your heart's broke, good. And then it's like all those things, and to a closed-minded person, you might hear that and be like, what the fuck's he talking about? Good. Like, those are terrible things that are happening. But are they that terrible, or are you just letting them affect you that much?
That's real.
So it's a mindset thing. Don't forget that, guys. Yes, you might have lost your job. You might have crashed your car. Your girl might have cheated on you with one of your friends. Good. Because guess what? You're going to learn from that, and that shit either ain't going to happen again, or you're going to be a little bit more prepared next time it happens.
Yeah.
So either way, you just got to find the light in the darkness. That's one quote I wanted to leave you with today.
Kind of reminds me of the if one door closes, another one opens kind of
Yeah.
spiel. I like it.
Yeah. Amen. You guys got any closing thoughts that you guys want to, throw in there?
Here's a cool quote because I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking about wandering and being lost, and I got a lighter that says that not all who wander are lost. So there's remember that sometimes when you're feeling like I don't know what's going on.
Thanks.
And I'm going to leave it like I left it last week. Be great, be you, be beautiful.
Hey, man, if you're still here with us, just know you're part of the family, bro, because you made it through the end of the episode. I know a lot of people can't say the same, but we do this for those people, the people that are listening right now, the people still trying to figure it out, trying to soak up as much as they can from every exposure and opportunity that's out there for them. We're not the ones that are pretending like we have it. We're just the ones that are trying to figure it out along the way with you. And, with that being said, we're not just building a podcast over here. We're building a whole movement, a community full of, the real, just the real, bro, the real everything. 404, fear not found. It means you're searching for something deeper. And just know we're right there with you. We're grinding every day. We're in the trenches with you. Nobody over here is white collar, too good to get their hands dirty, man. We're in the trenches deep. So let's do it together. I hope you guys are taking some good input from this, and I hope you guys have plenty of feedback to drop below. Send us some DMs, shoot us a message. We're looking for, some questions that we can address, maybe some situations. Just send us your feedback, man. We're all happy to hear. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, maybe share below with the ones that you think could benefit from
Please
this.
share.
Yeah. 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 So appreciate you boys for tapping in. This has been 404 Fear Not Found, baby. We'll see you next week.
Let's
See ya.